It was just another cold night, until it wasn't. The Chicago wind cut through my coat like a knife as I slumped onto the late-night bus. Just another face in the tired crowd. The city lights blurred into a watercolor mess through the grimy window. That's when she sat down. She was out of place, a flicker of warmth in the cold gloom. Her eyes held a story I couldn't read, and a faint, sweet scent, like rain on old books, followed her. We rode in silence for a few blocks. Then, just as she stood to leave, her hand brushed mine. It was cold. She pressed something small and metallic into my palm. For the moments in between, she whispered, her voice a low hum. Before I could ask what she meant, she was gone, disappearing into the swirling snow outside. I looked down at my hand. It was a small, smooth metal box, no bigger than a matchbook. Wheat, a singular dark lens on one side. It pulsed with a soft, internal light. Back in my quiet apartment, curiosity got the better of me. I raised the device to my eye. The world dissolved. I wasn't in my cramped living room anymore. I was standing on a beach, under a sun that felt impossibly warm. The sky was a perfect, cloudless blue, and the waves crashed gently on white sand. I could almost feel the sun on my skin, smell the salt in the air. I lowered the device, and I was back in the cold reality of my apartment. My heart was pounding. I became addicted. The device was my escape. Every spare moment was spent looking through that lens, lost in worlds more beautiful than my own. I walked through shimmering cities of glass and light, hiked mountains under twin moons, and floated through starlit nebulae. My real life started to fade. The gray Chicago streets couldn't compete with golden sunsets over alien oceans. My job felt meaningless. My friends' conversations dull. They talked about deadlines and weekend plans. I was thinking about the whispering forest I'd visited last night. My boss called me into his office. I'd missed too many deadlines. My work was sloppy. He let me go. I just shrugged. It didn't matter. More time for the device. My friends tried to reach out. Voicemails went unanswered. Texts unread. They stopped trying. It was just me in the box. My apartment became a cave. Bills piling up, dust gathering on every surface. I grew thin, my eyes hollow. The beautiful worlds were all that mattered. But one night, something changed. I was watching a festival of floating lanterns in a world of pure magic. It was breathtaking. But I felt nothing. Nothing. The beauty was hollow. It was a painting I could look at, but never touch. A profound loneliness washed over me, colder than any Chicago winter. I saw my reflection in the dark screen of my phone, a gaunt stranger staring back. I had traded my life, my friends, everything, for a ghost, for a beautiful lie. This wasn't living. It was a slow suicide of the soul. I had to choose the easy, perfect illusion, or the hard, messy, real world. The world where I'd failed, where I was alone, but where I could still feel, where I could still fight back. My hand was shaking as I picked up the device one last time. It pulsed, promising me another escape. But I didn't want to escape anymore. I wanted to come home. With a cry that was half sob, half roar, I threw it against the wall. It shattered into 1,000 tiny pieces, the soft light dying with a final, sad flicker. The silence in the room was deafening. But for the first time in months, it felt real. The next morning, I stepped outside. The air was cold. The sky was gray. But it was mine. I took a deep breath and started walking. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I was finally moving forward. Rebuilding a life is harder than watching a fake one, but it's a life I can actually live. The rattling of the train on the tracks is a constant, rhythmic hum, a familiar sound to anyone who's ever commuted. It's the backdrop to 100 different stories playing out in this single car. A woman laughs into her phone, sharing a joke. A student, head buried in a textbook, tries to cram in a few more pages before his stop. The air is thick with the scent of coffee and the low murmur of conversations. It's just another Tuesday morning. The world outside the window blurs into a streak of green and gray. Everything is normal. Everything is safe.
But that's the thing about safety, isn't it?
It's an illusion, a fragile bubble that can be popped in an instant. All it takes is one wrong word, one sudden movement. Suddenly, the familiar rhythm is broken. There's a scuffle, a chair scraping against the floor. A young man, probably no older than 20, is struggling to his feet. His movements are jerky, uncoordinated. His hands are trembling, not just a little, but violently, uncontrollably. He looks pale, his eyes wide and darting around the car, taking in the faces of the passengers, who are just now starting to notice him. The woman on the phone lowers it, her smile fading. The student looks up from his book, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. A man in a business suit adjusts his tie, looking on with mild curiosity. They're all watching him now, a silent question hanging in the air. What's wrong with this guy? Is he sick? Did he have too much to drink last night? He opens his mouth to speak, but only a dry, rasping sound comes out. He swallows hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. He takes a deep, shuddering breath, a breath that seems to suck all the air out of the car. And then he screams. The sound is raw, primal, and full of a desperate, jagged edge. I have a weapon. The words hang in the air for a fraction of a second. An impossible, horrifying statement. The bubble of normalcy shatters. Terror, pure and undiluted, washes over the train car. The student's textbook slides from his lap, forgotten. The businessman's face goes slack with disbelief. The woman who was laughing just moments ago lets out a choked sob. The collective heartbeat of the carriage seems to stop. Then, chaos erupts. A scream tears through the silence, then another and another, until the car is filled with a symphony of panic. People scramble over each other, trying to get away, to put distance between themselves and the source of their terror. But there's nowhere to go. They are trapped in a metal tube, hurtling through the countryside. The panic is a living thing, a contagion spreading from person to person. A phone clatters to the floor, the sound sharp and loud against the chorus of screams. Someone trips and falls, disappearing into the tangle of flailing limbs. The air, once filled with the scent of coffee, now smells of fear. Faces are contorted masks of horror. Eyes are wide, unseeing, reflecting the primal need to survive. A mother instinctively pulls her child close, shielding her with her own body. An elderly man clutches his chest, his face ashen. This isn't a movie. Is real. The shaking hand, the cracked voice, the sheer, unadulterated panic in the eyes of everyone around you. It's all terrifyingly, suffocatingly real. Through the mayhem, the young man stands his ground. He's still trembling, his entire body racked with tremors. But he's standing. He looks like a cornered animal, his expression a volatile cocktail of desperation, instability, and something else. Something that looks like resolve. He isn't just a threat. He's a person on the edge. A story that has reached its breaking point. His eyes, wild and unfocused, scan the terrified faces before him. What is he looking for? What does he want? The answer seems to be written on his face, in the desperate clench of his jaw and the hollows under his eyes. He is a man who has lost everything, and a man with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous man of all. His gaze locks onto one point, his eyes narrowing. The fear in the car escalates into something else, a dreadful, heart-stopping certainty that something terrible is about to happen. What will he do next? The city's pulse beat a frantic rhythm against the cold, unforgiving night. Under the stark, concrete arch of an underpass, the bus hissed to a halt, its brakes screaming a protest that was immediately swallowed by the ensuing chaos. Doors flew open, a torrent of panicked faces spilling out into the swirling snow, their shouts and cries painting a scene of pure pandemonium. Then, as quickly as it began, it was over. An eerie silence descended, broken only by the gentle whisper of falling snow. Inside the bus, amidst the scattered belongings of the departed, one man remained. Marcus. He didn't move, his gaze fixed on the world outside the grimy window. He wasn't a part of the chaos. He was its observer, its silent judge. The flashing red and blue lights began to strobe in the distance, but they were of no concern to him. He had seen this all before. His eyes, sharp and discerning, scanned the fleeing crowd, not with fear, but with purpose. He was looking for a single face in the sea of terror, a ghost he had been chasing across 3 continents. And then he saw him, a fleeting glimpse of a man trying too hard to blend in, his panic a mask for something far more sinister. A slow, cold smile touched Marcus's lips. He calmly rose from his seat, the motion fluid and deliberate. He adjusted the collar of his dark overcoat, a silent ritual before the hunt. Stepping off the bus, the cold air hit him, but he felt nothing. The game was afoot. Every run, except the man who had already faced fear before. I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to listen. Time stretches. Police lights flash outside, reflecting through bus windows. The attacker breaks down. Marcus doesn't move. Sound fades, only breathing remains. The sun peeks over the city, a quiet promise painted in soft pastels. On a small television, voices buzz with the day's headlines. Big stories, loud stories, stories of heroes charging into the fray, of leaders making grand pronouncements, of a world that seems to be spinning faster and faster. We hear about stock markets soaring and falling, about conflicts on distant shores, about people whose names will be remembered in history books. They speak of courage as a grand, sweeping gesture, a battle won, a mountain conquered. But courage isn't always a headline. For Marcus, the day begins not with a bang, but with a quiet ritual. The soft click of a worn-out coffee maker, the familiar weight of his work boots in his hands, the way the early morning light filters through his small apartment window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. His world isn't one of grand stages or cheering crowds. It's a world of quiet corners and overlooked spaces. A world that moves at its own steady, unhurried pace. He doesn't listen to the news for long. The noise of the world outside can feel like a storm on a distant horizon. His focus is closer. It's on the here and now, the simple, tangible things that make up a life. As the city rushes to work, a symphony of car horns and hurried footsteps, Marcus walks in the opposite direction. He heads towards the bus depot, now a cavernous, empty hall. The giants are resting, rows upon rows of silent buses, their engines cool, their seats empty. Just hours ago, this place was a river of humanity, a torrent of stories, destinations, and farewells. Now, it's just him and the echoes. He walks through the silent metal beasts, his footsteps the only sound. There's a certain peace in this emptiness, a stillness that most people never get to see. This is the flip side of the city's hustle, the quiet breath it takes before the next mad dash. Night falls, and the city transforms. Office towers become constellations of light against the dark sky. Inside one of these towers, on the 34th floor, Marcus begins his real work. The daytime inhabitants have all gone home, leaving behind the ghosts of their ambitions. Half-empty coffee cups, scribbled notes, chairs pushed back in a hurry. The air is thick with the residue of 1,000 conversations, 1,000,000 tiny dramas. Marcus moves through this space like a tide, slowly, methodically, the rhythmic swish of his mop, the soft click of a light switch, the hum of the floor polisher. He's not just cleaning floors. He's resetting the stage, wiping the slate clean so the stories can begin again tomorrow. He sees the remnants of their lives. A framed photo of a smiling family on a desk, a wilted plant begging for water, a motivational poster with a soaring eagle and a bold declaration about success. He sometimes wonders about the people who occupy these spaces during the day. Do they feel the weight of their own posters? Do they see their families enough? He doesn't judge who's cleans. He finds a forgotten sweater draped over a chair and folds it neatly, placing it on the desk. A small act of care in an anonymous world. There is a dignity in his work, a silent integrity. It's a promise kept, night after night, to leave things better than he found them, to bring order to the chaos. Some might see his life as small, invisible, even. He doesn't command armies. He doesn't build empires. He doesn't make the headlines. His victories are quiet. A perfectly polished floor reflecting the city lights. The fresh, clean scent that greets the first person in the morning. The knowledge that he has done his job well, with purpose and with pride. He fights his battles, not with a sword, but with a mop and a bucket. His fight is against the daily creep of entropy, against the slow accumulation of dust and neglect. It's a battle he wins every single night, in the quiet solitude of the sleeping city. Courage doesn't always charge forward. Sometimes, it simply refuses to run.